You don't need me to tell you, you know it. We are still in recession. Our nation gives the term from boom to bust new meaning. We went from one of the most prosperous countries in the world to the holders of one of the largest toxic banks known to man. And the unemployed, the people who have seen their businesses go under, and the ones barely earning enough money to get by, will take no solace in the fact that the rest of the world are in the same boat. People are angry, people are disillusioned, and people feel let down. All are very much within their rights to do so. Most want answers, and I'm here at Leinster House today to try and get some. Fianna Fáil Senator James Carroll has agreed to give some of his time in what we hope will become a weekly podcast, to give his opinion on issues both on a local and national level. But as we know, there are no easy questions in politics. Let's go inside. First off, Senator, thank you for taking the time out to talk to me this morning. I know you have a full schedule. We probably couldn't have picked a busier day to start with. But if you could, begin by telling us a bit about the work of the Seanad.
Well, I suppose today we're focusing on a number of different bills. We're focusing on the merchant shipping bill after the order of business, which is taking place now. Then we'll be going through different pieces of legislation. So this week is kind of a unique week in politics, and that there's been such upheaval. Last night there was a vote of no confidence in the Taoiseach by Fine Gael and the Seanad. On Tuesday there was a vote of no confidence in the Taoiseach and the Dáil. So I suppose and coupled with that, we've obviously seen the internal fighting and wrangling within Fine Gael. So that vote is due to, or that debate is due to start now at 11:30 in the Fine Gael Parliamentary Party. So this week's week in the Seanad has been the most upheaval I've seen since I've been in the Seanad now 6 months. But there's a lot of work. There's work ongoing. This is a huge piece that's coming up before the end of the summer is going to be the civil partnership bill, and as we see, that was discussed earlier on in the order of business, and that's going to be a very contentious issue because there's people with very strongly held views on both sides of that debate. So I suppose it's a very busy time to be in the Seanad. There's a lot of work going on, but I'm thoroughly enjoying it.
Even from outside you could tell there's a militant feel about the place. Something is about to happen. But you spoke about the Tuesday evening. The coalition won the Dáil confidence motion in Taoiseach Brian Cowan by a margin of 5 votes. The result was 82 to 77. During the debate, Brian Cowan said he takes full responsibility for decisions he took as Minister of Finance and subsequently as Taoiseach. Is that an admission of fault in your opinion?
Well, no, to be fair, I listened fully to the Taoiseach's speech, and I have to give credit to him. He admitted that he made mistakes, and the reason why I got involved in politics was because I felt mistakes were being made in certain respects, and I think the Taoiseach has openly admitted that having such a narrow stream of our income being property based was a huge mistake, and he's accepted that, and he said in his speech on Tuesday that if he could go back, the property incentives that he abolished in Christmas 2005, he would have abolished them many years ago. But there's a reality is the Taoiseach made mistakes, the government made mistakes, but a lot of things they did was right, and a lot of good things happened. The reason why I joined Fianna Fáil was Good Friday Agreement, kind of in the first government. Since that, the motorway structure throughout the country is a real sign of achievement of the Celtic Tiger, because it's fantastic now to travel around the country. So a lot of really good things have done. Yes, the government made mistakes. I'll admit they made mistakes, but the reality is, as I said last night in the Fine Gael motion, the Seanad, if the Fine Gael or Labour Party had been in power in 2002 or 2007, their entire budgets were based on the exact same policies and philosophies that the Fianna Fáil budgets were based on. So we'd be in a deeper hole, because Fine Gael's opposition spokesman on finance at the time, Richard Bruton, Labour's spokesperson on finance, Joan Burton, called Brian Cowan as Minister of Finance Scrooge-like, measly, not offering enough, not giving enough. So if they had their way, we'd be in an even deeper black hole. So that's just kind of the reality, and I think hindsight is 20/20 vision, and I think that's the way Fine Gael and Labour's policies are now. Hindsight, we forget what we said in the past, but look at us now. We identified all these problems. If you go through the Dáil debates and the Seanad debates, they weren't highlighting these factors over the last 10 years. The only thing they were saying is this government isn't spending enough.
You mentioned that you watched all of Brian Cowan's speech, so you'll know that he quite poignantly said we're on the road to recovery. Do you believe he's the man to lead us down that road?
I absolutely do. I think it was interesting to see what some Senator Owen Harris said yesterday in the Seanad as well. He said if somebody makes a mistake, often they're the best person to fix that mistake. And while definitely there is stuff that needs to be done, I don't think Fine Gael are the party to get us out of trouble, because look at them now, they're in absolute turmoil. Their parliamentary party is split in two. The Labour Party haven't had the courage of conviction to stand up on any issue. For example, Eamon Gilmore, he sat on the fence for so long in the Croke Park deal, and then just this week when it was agreed, he came out and he said, oh, isn't it wonderful that it was passed, but he refused to take a stance on it beforehand. So it's a bit ironic that these two parties are saying that they're the party to lead us out of recovery when one's split in two and the other can't take any decisions. So at least this government, the government that has experience, is getting on with the job of leading us on the road to recovery. And we've seen so many independent bodies, whether they've been the IMF, the European Central Bank, have said by the end of this year and coming into next year it'll be 3% growth in the Irish economy. So that's the reality. The tough decisions that the government have taken over the last 2.5 years, the unpopularity that the government has generated over the last 2.5 years, is now going to kind of reap benefits over the next 2 years, and I look forward to Brian Cowan leading us down that road.
You've alluded to it, that Fine Gael are, for all intents and purposes, in upheaval. They're about to be split down the middle. How big a blow is this to any kind of their chances of coming into full power?
Well, I don't want to say anything that might come back to haunt me in the future, but I think it's absolutely extraordinary that in a week that Enda Kenny came out proposing a motion of no confidence in the Taoiseach, that suddenly their deputy leader proposes a motion of no confidence in him. So it's really it's crazy. And even listening to the radio this morning over the last couple of days and seeing their different speakers on TV kind of manoeuvring and getting themselves in different positions, it's truly extraordinary. But I suppose something that I suppose I'd like to touch on as well is what Rory Quinn said in the Dáil when he was speaking about the confidence motion in the government. And he said that Oliver Cromwell offered advice to the dying days of an old parliament in Westminster, where he said, in the name of God, go. And I think it's absolutely disgraceful that Rory Quinn, the opposition spokesperson on education, will be using such a historically scandalous figure to offer advice to any government. I suppose coming myself from near Drogheda area with my office in Drogheda, it's just absolutely scandalous that he would use that, because to many people in the North East, Oliver Cromwell is the biggest mass murderer in Irish history. It's known that he's killed and is responsible for the murder of thousands of people, innocent people as well as soldiers in a garrison in there. So I think that he'd need to just maybe have a re-examination of his Irish history and choose his words far more carefully in the future. And I actually do believe he owes the people of Drogheda an apology.
Is that an apology you can see him giving?
Well, I certainly hope so, and that's why I'm calling for him to do it, because I think possibly in debates people might say things that they don't realise they're saying, but I think if Rory Quinn goes back and looks exactly what he said, like anybody with kind of a basic knowledge of Irish history knows the Cromwellian period in Ireland was one of the most horrific and harrowing experience for Irish people. So I certainly hope he does offer that apology to the people of Drogheda.
We'll move it on. There are currently more than 600 ghost estates here in Ireland, and a government agency report has estimated the number of empty homes in Ireland at greater than 300,000. Many would need further development to infrastructure in the areas. What do you think should be done with these buildings? Do you think we should develop them and complete the half-finished ones, or level the lot?
I think levelling the lot is the absolute last option that we should pursue. There are so many people who'd like to get onto the property ladder but can't get mortgages or can't afford it. There's such a huge long waiting list to get onto social housing, affordable housing, things like that. So I think that's where we should really be focusing our work on. Something I'm actually working on at the minute is a proposal to submit to the Minister for Housing, Michael Finneran TD, in relation to actually finishing off these houses, whether it's a possibility that people could actually take on themselves to finish off the houses, and then maybe that would be taken off the cost of the house, things like that, or whether social housing, say houses that are boarded up, or these ghost estates, that people could actually again do the work themselves to a required standard, obviously, that would be approved by an assessor, and then that they could take over those houses. So that's something I'm working on myself. But I think the issue of ghost estates is very, it's sad in many respects. There's some very close to my home where you have people with, there was supposed to be 10, 15, 20 houses, and only 5 of them are sold, and 5 of them look like building sites. And that's, like, you know, I can see how that would really get you down if you were driving into that estate. It was sold to you as this lovely area. It's going to have magnificent green space for your children and you and your family to play and enjoy, and then suddenly it's a half-built building estate. Like, that would be absolutely horrifying if that happened to me. So I think we have to do all we can to finish off these estates and actually get people living in them, because that's what the neighbours want and that's what we all want, because the current state of play of a lot of these ghost estates can't be allowed to continue.
We leave it there for now, James. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thank you very much, and I appreciate you coming in.
And remember, we'd like you to get in touch, whether you have a question for next week's edition or you'd like to make a comment on something you heard on this programme. You can do so. Email james.carroll@oireachtas.ie, or you can call his constituency office in Drogheda. It's 041 984 3974. Until next time, it's bye bye for now.